Hello everyone, welcome back to Victoria 3. In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to form Scandinavia. Now, there are 4 countries that have the possibility to form Scandinavia in this game, those being Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and Schleswig. Out of these 4, the easiest one to form Scandinavia with is Sweden. They are the most powerful, so those are the ones we will be choosing today. Alright, in order to form Scandinavia, there's a few things we're going to have to do. We're going to have to become a major power, research pan-nationalism, and have control over 11 out of the 15 state regions. These regions include places in Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Schleswig-Holstein, and Finland. Now, Schleswig-Holstein is split into 3 different states, 2 of which will not join us pretty much no matter what. So we're not going to worry about Schleswig-Holstein. Instead, we're going to be focusing on the Denmark states and the Finnish states. As a quick note, just because the Finnish states are required to form Scandinavia, they will not be annexed into you when you form Scandinavia, so keep that in mind. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check our relations with Denmark. We're going to see if they like us or don't like us. It looks like in this run they don't like us, but just because they are antagonistic, it doesn't mean we're done yet. But it looks like this run will have to be reset because they have this modifier. Denmark views Sweden as a natural enemy. This means that no matter what we do, we will not be able to diplomatically annex them into Sweden. This is unfortunate, though it is just the way the game is, so I recommend just restarting, because it's not worth dealing with these guys being little dipshits. So we have reset, we will look back, they are still antagonistic, but this time they do not have the natural enemy modifier, which means that we are good to go ahead with our plans. So first things first, improve relations with Denmark, and improve relations with Schleswig. These are the only 2 states that we need to worry about, as the other one, Finland, we are going to take by conquering. So, expel the diplomats from Finland, transfer subject to us, and we will now be at war with Russia. So in order to fight this war, it's not actually that difficult because for some reason Russia is so arrogant that they think they don't even have to send troops to help Finland, which is completely mistaken. Because with just a few minor changes, we can absolutely bulldoze through Finland and take them without even trying. Number 1, we're going to go to the government tab and we're going to reform the government, put the armed forces in the government, confirm that, and we are going to scroll down until we find dedicated police and institute that one. This is going to make the intelligentsia like us more, the armed forces like us more, the bourgeoisie, and the rural folk. The only 2 that we're really worried about are the intelligentsia and the armed forces. The armed forces for now and the intelligentsia for later. On pause, looks like the armed forces are happy with us now, but we want them to be loyal to us so that we can get patriotic fervor, which gives us a 15% offense and 15% defense modifier in combat. So in order to get those extra points, we're going to come to the budget and we're going to increase military wages up to 5. This does 2 things. It improves our armed forces approval and gives us more power projection. Power projection gives us more prestige, which we need just a tiny bit more prestige in order to be considered a major power. And if you remember what I said earlier, we must be a major power in order to form Scandinavia. If you come back to the government screen, you'll see that the armed forces are now loyal to us, but there is more that we can do. If we choose to bolster the armed forces, we have the chance to make them a powerful interest group, which if they are a powerful interest group, this buff will be doubled to a 30% offense and 30% defense modifier in combat, which is very powerful in this game. Another benefit of making the armed forces loyal and powerful is that the first buff they give is a military technology cost reduction, which a minus 20% military technology cost reduction is very powerful and will lead to us having way better military technology than everyone else. Come back to your budget tab, increase taxation up to level 4, come to the buildings tab, set everything to automatically expand, come to the military tab, and we are going to hire 2 more generals. You're going to take whichever one gives the strongest buffs out of the ones that they give you. None of these guys need to be particularly good to do what we're doing, but if they are very good at their jobs, this is very beneficial. So I am going to take the one on the left because I believe him to be just a tad bit better. Then we're going to come back and try and hire someone else. Looks like we have a brave explorer and a bigoted woodland combat expert. Neither of these guys are actually very good, so I'm just going to take this dude. No reason not to. For technology, we will research, under the Society tab, nationalism so that we can blitz towards pan-nationalism so that we may form Scandinavia as fast as possible. And with that being done, we will unpause the game, we will watch the diplomatic play screen. Now, you will be tempted to offer obligations to the British, you know, the Netherlands, maybe France or Prussia to join the war. Don't do this. Don't get anyone else involved in this war. You want Russia to be cocky and to think they can take you on without any effort whatsoever, because we will take advantage of their arrogance and punish them for it. If we were to offer an obligation to the British or any other power, Russia would do the same to another power to balance things out. We don't want this. We want to fight just the Russians. Alright, so we're at war. So you're probably thinking at this point, how on earth am I going to take my 30 divisions and beat Russia with their 285 plus 324 conscriptable battalions, plus Finland with their extra 18. Well, the funny thing is, Russia is really bad about allocating troops to fronts. They don't help Finland, believe it or not. The Russians choose not to help their puppet. Finland is our only war goal, so if we can take Finland, we get 100% war goal morale reduction on their side, which will cause them to drop all the way down to -100, and we will win the war without them even having put up a fight. So, we're going to unpause, Norway's going to push, we're going to push, and there we go, we've started to break through. Looks like we're having a battle down here for some reason. Very cool, very cool. We got dudes defending, and we now have 100% of the war goal that we're going for, so at this point, we're going to set our generals to play defensive. We don't want to push anymore. If we push anymore, we'll run into the Russian border, and then Russia will actually decide to come at us, sort of sense. Yep, looks like Norway has managed to push into Russia, and we now have a border with them, so at this point, just push. It doesn't matter. Just push into whatever with whatever few troops you have. You'll have some generals just chilling around. Looks like one of them went on standby for some reason. You can go there. You can go here. Just close up some pockets. Just push wherever there are no troops, really. It actually looks like we have enough to propose the peace deal of transferring the Grand Duchy of Finland to us, so we're just going to take it. Boom. Finland is ours now. Alright, now that the war's over, we're going to go back to our government tab, and we are going to start bolstering the industrialists and the intelligentsia now, because we want extra research bonuses, which these three offer. Intelligentsia is society, the industrialist is production, and the armed forces are military technology. So now that nationalism is fully researched, we will research pan-nationalism. And we're going to check out Denmark and Schleswig, see what their relations are with us. Looks like Denmark is being kind of angry. Ah, they've set us as a rival. So Denmark likes to be a dick in this game, specifically for some reason. I don't know why. They're going to like try to actively damage relations and just be angry because, I don't know, they just like being angry. It doesn't matter. It just makes it take a little bit longer. You're going to have to bankroll them at some point in this game. So keep that in mind, make sure you have enough in your economy to afford that, because it is required. Looks like Schleswig might be nice to us this round, though they are still cautious of us, so we may have to bankroll them as well. But they're not being as much of a pain in the ass as Denmark is, because the D in Denmark stands for dipshit. Now, because we're trying to get an ahead of time research bonus done, we're going to want to grab some research bonuses to get this reduced. We don't want to wait 10 years on this. So, first thing, easiest way to do that is get more innovation. To do that, you're going to come down to the university tab in the urban building section, and you're going to change to the philosophy department. Step number 2 is in politics. Actually, looks like now is the perfect time to do it because our old King Carl has died and we now have Oscar Bernadotte, which means, we have an unacceptable government because our old government is no longer hip. But we can reform to these government. Wow, these are the guys that we've been buffing. This government right here is pretty busted. If you get them all loyal, these guys offer some pretty insane buffs. Patriotic Fervor, probably the best buff in the entire game. Industrialist Investment Pool Contribution, very good. Plus 25% Migration Attraction, also very good. If you can get all of these guys to be powerful interest groups, then you're going to have some really, really, really nice buffs. So we're going to put them in power. We're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. The industrialists and the armed forces like that, but I am looking for something that's going to give the intelligentsia more because that's what we're going to prioritize now because they have a society research buff bonus, and in case you were unaware, pan-nationalism is a society research, so we want to get that one done as fast as possible, so we're going to try and buff the intelligentsia as much as possible, so we're going to enact private schools next because the industrialists also support it. Now, I find it way more effective once Oscar Bernadotte has taken rule. We're going to stop bolstering all of these interest groups, and instead we're going to suppress the ones we don't want. So the Church of Sweden gets suppressed. The landowners get suppressed. The rural folk, they get suppressed as well. And if you're feeling a little crazy, you can take off the default consumption tax on liquor. You might go, your economy's gonna hurt, but you can also suppress the bourgeoisie. You suppress all of these guys are going to get all of the clout that's left over, and they're going to be the only ones in any real power, and they're the only ones that you really want, because everyone else's buffs are kind of mid, except for the rural folk, which the rural folk are really nice. But in order to appeal to these guys, it's going to be really hard to appeal to this guy as well, so I'd rather have them marginalized, because this debuff is incredibly intense, and this can slaughter your whole country if you have it for the whole game. I'm not gonna lie. You don't want the rural folk to be angry and powerful. Alright, in the meantime, just manage your economy like you would normally. Build more construction sector. Just let it go however you want. Alright, it is now 1842, we are about 3 years away from having researched pan-nationalism. If we check our relations with Denmark and Schleswig, looks like Denmark is still antagonistic towards us, still has a rivalry, but Schleswig is okay with us, they're amicable, but also cautious. So it looks like we're going to have to bankroll these guys to make them like us. In order to get bankrolling, you're going to have to research central banking. Now, there is a chance that you might get lucky, and you will get technology spread and it'll cover central banking for you while you're researching pan-nationalism. This, however, has not happened to me in this run, so I will have to stop researching pan-nationalism and research central banking. This is only going to take 2 years to do, but it does put us back a little bit in time, but it is something that we will absolutely have to do if we're going to diplomatically annex Denmark. Alright, we've got central banking finished. So unfortunately for Denmark, they don't get to be angry anymore because I'm gonna pay them money to fuck off. Now our relations are gonna go back up and there's nothing Denmark can do about it. Haha, take that, you whiny little... So, now that central banking is done, go back to researching pan-nationalism. And now we just have to wait for Denmark to stop being a tiny little... Looks like they owe us an obligation right off the bat. If that happens, absolve it. You're gonna get plus 30% relations, and you're probably gonna get them to stop actively damaging relations or stop being a rival. Looks like we are no longer rivals. Welp, it looks like we have bad news. Denmark, in its efforts to be a tiny little bitch, has decided that we are now natural enemies, and I fear that I must oblige them by pummeling them into the dirt. So, not a very common occurrence, but it is very possible that Denmark will randomly decide to become natural enemies with you, and in this case, you must go to war with them if you would like to form Scandinavia with Denmark. It does not happen most of the time. Most of the time you are able to diplomatically annex them, but in this scenario, Denmark has decided to be a massive pain in my ass, and I'm going to punish them for it. So, how do we go about punishing them for it? First thing we're going to do, go over to the Buildings Development tab. We're going to upgrade our infantry to the skirmish infantry because we researched general staff a while ago. So if you look at Denmark, they've only got 4 regular battalions right now. Denmark is pathetic, absolutely weak. loser country, not like the Chad Swedish over here. Now, when we change over to skirmish infantry, we're going to have to import some bullets, some munitions from people. So we're going to go to the market, grab this, import route, and we're going to go for the British market and the Prussian market, and maybe even the French market too, just to improve relations, but I'm not too worried about it. Looks like we don't like Denmark anymore, so we're going to try and make them a puppet, because screw the Danes. Honestly, I'm content. I'm convinced that we'll be able to win this war. So, alright. How to navigate this through diplomatically. Looks like we can get Prussia on our side. That's pretty cool. We got field work, so that's a buff to our defense. We're going to go through. Hopefully Denmark doesn't get anyone. Yeah, you're fearful. You should be fearful. You've brought this on yourself. Alright, they've got Russia on their side. So we might need to bring in someone to help. Looks like, yep. So they've offered to Russia. We're going to offer to Great Britain, because Great Britain is the most powerful in the game, so we'll do that. Alright, they've sided with us. We can also grab Prussia, but we're going to see what they decide to do. They're still confident. They used quite a lot on that one. We might go ahead and grab Prussia as well, offer them an obligation, because Prussia's going to do a lot to keep Russia off our backs, so we'll do that. And they've joined us. The Brits and the Prussians are on our side. It's frozen, and Denmark can't get anybody else on their side. They're uncertain, as they should be. They've brought this upon themselves. I suggest that they back down, but they will not. So let's find our military. Looks like we got our old military dudes back up and running. Dang, expert defensive strategist right here, celebrity commander. Looks like this guy got pretty good while we were gone. So let's send him to this border right here to hold off the Russians. In the meantime, I'm going to take the pious one. I want to promote him once so he can have 8 instead of 4. Mobilize. We're going to put him right on this border right here, and we're going to invade those 4 measly Danish divisions. Because all we need to do is take Denmark. Oh, we got pan-nationalism as well. So once we're done with this, we're going to have some fun. After that, just go military. Research whatever you want. I'm going to research military stuff. Here we go. Time to fight off the Danes. There is a river crossing, but it doesn't look like it's going to matter. Time to smack the Danes for their insolence towards me. And we've already got 100% of our war gold. 10% of their country is occupied. Looks like the Brits are invading too. Yeah, Denmark, you did this to yourself. Not going to lie. Alright, let's see how we're defending against the Russians. Oh, Norway's kicking them back. Ooh, beautiful, beautiful. Here we come. Boop, boop. And the British are just bullying them. You know what? I'm fine with this. I'm very fine with this. Alright, the war is over. Alright, so we now have Denmark as a puppet. This means that we now have enough control over enough regions to form Scandinavia. Now, you'll notice that Denmark does not support us as a unification candidate, but it doesn't matter because they are our puppet, and we can form Scandinavia anyway. So, without further ado, let's hit this bad boy button. Boop! And would you look at that? All of Scandinavia is us. But, uh-oh, looks like we got a problem. Unhealthy economy. This is bad. What are we gonna do about it? Well, I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do about it. So, after doing that, you're gonna get a lot more bureaucracy from all these little states. You're gonna come down to your political lens, go to state actions, incorporate state, and you're gonna incorporate everything. All of it. Every single state. Except for Scandinavian West Indies, except for colonial stuff. Don't worry about that. Uh-oh, but now we're at negative. Oh, negative 160. What are we gonna do? We're going to come to buildings, urban, and we're going to change our government administration buildings to standardized filing cabinets. That's going to give us quite a bit more. Looks like in this game, Norway and Denmark did not build as many bureaucratic buildings as they normally do, but it's still enough to where we can get here. And we'll just build another one for ourselves. Alt-click that one so it's number 1. And we're also going to pause all of our buildings because we have a massive deficit from tax waste and tax loss, but this is going to go away as we integrate these states. So you're going to take a little bit of a hit here, but as you see, the deficit is slowly going down. Now we're negative 14, negative 13k, negative 12k. This is going to keep going down until we're back in the green. So just give that a little bit of time. I know the big red number is scary, but we are going to be just okay. Once you incorporate all of those states, you're going to need to change all of their production methods over to your production methods because they will not do this on their own. That's going to give you just a little bit more money. Looks like we're down to negative 8,000 a week, negative 7,000, negative 6,000. You can check your corporation status. Looks like 32%. So there's still a good like 65% of money in this area that we're not getting yet. You can stop improving relations with Great Britain and France if you would like. I'm going to stop doing this because I don't need to do this anymore. Looks like somewhere along the road I managed to get some more authority. Actually, I know exactly where this came from. This was nationalism and pan-nationalism, which I have forgot to use. So, authority, if you want to, add another consumption tax. You can always increase your taxation level. That'll cover the deficit that you've got. I am going to use it to also suppress a few more people in the government. And I'm going to bolster the industrialists because those look like they're the weakest out of the ones I want in government, because I want these guys to stay in government forever. I want these guys to stay out of government forever, except for the trade unions. If we can get them happy, they're pretty nice to have, but they're kind of mad right now, so we're just gonna exit government reform. You can check your assets screen, see if you got any investment pool. Looks like I've got some investment pool, so I'm gonna start my buildings back up. Looks like the stuff that I'm building is not getting invested. This sucks. I do want to get my bureaucracy building back up because that's going to give me enough this where we're not going to have a 4% tax waste, because 4% of all taxes is kind of a lot of money. That's probably a good 2,000–3,000 pounds in the scenario. Oh, and look at that. Looks like we are in the positive again, and we're still got a good 33% incorporating left to do. All right. Everybody's now incorporated, except for Greenland. They're gonna take 20 years, but we're not gonna worry about them. Everyone's now incorporated. We got plus 20,000 surplus. Alright, so that is going to do it for this video. Hopefully I've showed you a way to form Scandinavia that is consistent. I've run through this about 7 times now, and I've been able to form Scandinavia every single time. As far as the Denmark thing is concerned, most of the time you will be able to diplomatically annex them. If they are cautious of you, you will need to get your relations up to friendly, which requires you to be at plus 80% on relations. The easiest way to do this is to bankroll them and get an obligation. Use the obligation and then you will immediately become friendly. That is enough to put you over the hump of cautious. And the same applies to Schleswig. You cannot get Holstein in, and you cannot get Finland in, so do not even try to do anything diplomatic with them at all. It is simply a waste of your time. But just so you know, if you do not feel like fighting Denmark, assume for some reason they did to you what they did to me, you can still form Scandinavia without them, but it is way more powerful if you do get them in. It is not required, but it is very nice to have them in. So, with that all done, that concludes the end of the video. Be sure to leave a like if you found this to be helpful, subscribe for more. I have many more of these tutorials on the way, and leave a comment for which country you want to see me do next, or which formable nation you want to see me show you how to do next. I'm thinking about doing Italy next, maybe Austria. Then I know there's a few in Central America, like El Salvador, that can be done. But yeah, just leave me a comment, let me know which country you want to see done next, and I will catch you all in the next one. Goodbye.